Full documentary airs at 8:30 p.m. tonight on this channel. Away from the story, private legal practitioner Maritime says the police may have to gather a new set of evidence against suspects being held for the murder of Legon law lecturer Professor Yalbene. This follows the death of a lead suspect who died at the police hospital in Accra on Saturday. According to the police, he had been sick for a while and had been put on oxygen as the intensive care unit of the hospital, but died after a while. James Nanawamba had earlier confessed his involvement in the gruesome murder of the late law professor at his Ajirgano mansion in Accra. He was one of 4 who were initially arrested on suspicion of murder. Following his confession and naming of his accomplices, the state dropped charges against the other 3. Masimpebu says if he failed to mention others in a statement prior to his death, the police may have to start the process all over. He spoke earlier on JoyNews desk.
With the death, the police will reassess the whole case.
Okay.
They have to reassess it to see whether with the evidence that is gathered and with the death of the suspect, Womba, can they use the evidence that they have against the only person in custody. And most especially, there's this rule that generally, for conspiracy, you need 2 people. Okay? Yes. But when one dies and the evidence, you can use the evidence against the surviving person. So we still come back to the same question. What is the quality of the evidence that the police have? And for now, you and I are not in a position to be able to comment on that because we are not seized with that evidence. So all of it, time will tell.
All right. So is there a possibility of changing the charge in this case because of the bit of conspiracy you just explained?
Excellent. So if the evidence is not good for the conspiracy, that is to say with the death of Wanda, if they don't have good evidence to charge as many suspects with conspiracy, they will have to drop conspiracy and go ahead with the murder charge alone. Yes. So the murder charge alone, and that is good enough. So we have conspiracy to murder, then we have murder. So if the other person who would have helped to establish the conspiracy is dead, then you leave out the conspiracy and proceed with the substantive offense, which is the murder itself.
We stay on the subject of crime, and police in the central region are appealing to the public to volunteer information as they continue to investigate claims that the Aguna West MP and Gender Minister has been targeted to be killed. Over the weekend, 4 heavily built armed men with cutlasses, knives and other suspicious items were arrested at a Swedru hotel. Campaign team members of the Gender Minister and Aguna West MP Cynthia Mamle Morrison say their intelligence indicates the men were hired to kill the minister. Richard Kojo-Nyako, our Central Regional Correspondent, has been following these developments and joins us live. Richard, what have you picked up? Right, Richard, if you can hear me, what have you picked up? I understand you've been speaking to the police commander. What has she been telling you?
Well, so I have been speaking with the police, regional police commander, DCOP Habiba Chumesi, and she's been telling me a lot about the Swedru incident, the fact that they have picked 4 of them and the case has been transferred from the Swedru division to the regional police headquarters. Currently, the suspects are here and they are preparing them for court as of now. The police will not rule out whether it has something to do with an assassination plot on the gender minister's life or otherwise. They say that because they are still investigating the matter, they would want to hold on with some of the information until they unravel more before they come to the general public with it.
Right. I'm sure that the people of Aguna Swedru in the central region will be worried, Richard, after such an incident. Tell us a bit about that.
Also, rightly so, they are worried, but there is an assurance from the police that things are well, they are on top of their game, and everything is being done to ensure that the region is generally peaceful. In fact, that is why they have activated a lot of operations and to instill confidence in the general public. So for these persons that were picked from the Swedru area, the police say that they will do everything possible to ensure that everything, justice is brought to the fore. On the Fantaman case, they say that the 5 persons have been picked earlier when we were in the constituency, we heard that, I mean, the first vice of the Fantiman MPP has been picked, but our sources later told us that, well, the man is still working in the constituency. In fact, the 5 people that have been picked, we've not been made aware of their names, where are they, their locations and other things, except to say that these persons were arrested on different locations, some in Mankasim, others were on their way to Kumasi, and others also from some parts of the central region. Now that the case has been transferred to the police headquarters, they are hoping that some finality will be brought to bear, and then the perpetrators behind the killing of the MP would also be found out. She also spoke further on the University of Cape Coast prank robbery, and she indicated that one student had been arrested. He's been interrogated. They believe that he is the source of that prank robbery. He really engineered everything that happened, but that student had been granted bail, and the police are still investigating the matter.
Right, thanks Richard for joining us with those details. Richard Gideon there, updating us on 3 key issues that came up in the central region recently, which is the arrest of 4 heavily armed men in a Swedru hotel. It's suspected they may be connected with an assassination attempt on the gender minister. Police don't have that information yet. And of course, the Infantiman MP, we understand that a 6th person has been arrested in connection with the murder of the Infantiman MP. We'll get more information on that and update you. And a student of the University of Cape Coast has also been picked up in relation to that prank robbery scare from a few days back. It's live on Joy News today. President Akufo-Addo is urging Ghanaians to adhere to COVID-19 safety protocols to mitigate the chances of a second wave. He says although the country has made significant success against the virus, people must observe the protocols. In his 18th address to the nation, the president said the country's recovery rate now stands at 98.5%.
As of Friday, 16th October, the number of active cases has declined further to 398, with 46,664 persons fully recovered from the virus, putting our recovery rate at 98.5%. 13 more deaths have occurred, bringing the total number of deaths tragically to 310, out of a total number of 510,074 persons tested. The rate of death, 0.5%, continues to remain very low. When you take a close look at the measures some other countries are having to take, including imposing nighttime curfews and partial lockdowns, declaring state of emergencies, limiting the numbers of people permitted at public gatherings, and mandatorily fining persons for not wearing masks, all in the bid to contain the second wave of the virus, we in Ghana have been spared all these developments and restrictions. We must thus be doing something right. In fact, our favorable situation at the moment is thanks to the effectiveness of government policies, the cooperation of you, the Ghanaian people, and ultimately to the grace of God. The science and data tells us that the trajectory of the virus in Ghana mirrors that of an epidemic with reduced disease activity. Our daily infection rates are no longer in the hundreds as they were some time back. Presently, they are in the tens, averaging 25 new cases per day in the course of last week. This, in spite of our successes, I'd like to reiterate that this virus remains something of a mystery, and we should always rather err on the side of caution and continue to observe the protocols that have brought us to where we are.
Yes, so live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Dazi. Now, the president's address also saw the review of some restrictions like the number of people who can attend conferences and seminars. The president also announced the return of football games in 2 weeks, but conspicuously missing was his mention of positive cases confirmed in the Black Stars camp. Public health expert Dr. John Amwesi has been giving some insight into what this means for the country. He spoke earlier on News Desk.
I think it's really important to put all these things into perspective, and I may begin to sound like a broken record because these are things that I've shared over and over again. There is no doubt that the picture is better than it used to be. I think this is without question. One may argue that how good the picture is may be difficult to determine, yet we can say with some amount of confidence that it is good. I say this because the arguments that perhaps our testing has gone low, which is very true nonetheless, would reduce our ability to detect cases is a valid argument, because the less you are testing, the less you will see. But I've always maintained, and I see again, that when people fall sick, you can't hide that. And ultimately, when people die, you cannot hide that. So being able to say that our death rates have reduced considerably is absolutely what it is. Pointing out that our ICUs and other hospital beds are not filling up is absolutely true. Being able to point out our rate of spread, however, is rather tricky, because you will realize that while rate of spread may be increasing, it may not be directly correlated with the levels of severe disease and levels of death. One may argue that, well, if people are not getting sick and people are not dying, then who cares? I mean, if the virus is there, let it be there, and everything is hunky-dory. So if you look at it at the spectrum as the ultimate outcomes, death, hospitalization, doing great. Spread of the disease, can't really tell. But by and large, things seem to be working well for Ghana. And this is not isolated to Ghana alone. In fact, things seem to be panning out much better for Africa. And it's very important to to take these words holistically, that we're doing something right, and then the additional statements that he made. Because as I pointed out, the picture that we're seeing in Ghana is not isolated only to the country, but it's also being seen, or is panning out across the entire Africa in the same way, which means that beyond doing something right, there's some intrinsic properties of the continent that are allowing us to have a more favorable outcome. I'm not saying that we are not doing anything right, and I'm also not saying that we are doing well because of the right things that we have done.
Now, the economic advisor and spokesperson to the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Acquah, says the NPP is second to none in the economic and development drive of the country. He said, unlike the NDC, the Nana Akufo-Addo-led government has many interventions to show for their stewardship. Speaking to JoyNews after the launch of the NPP Drivers Association at Joyonkwanta, Dr. Gideon Acquah said all hands must be on deck to ensure a resounding victory for the NPP in the December general elections. There's more in this report from Precious Semevo.
As the political campaigns heat up with less than 2 months to the general elections, many political groups continue to spring up. The latest is the NPP Drivers Association at Joyonkwanta in the Hafo region. George Kwafu Owusu is the chairman.
They give us a promise that when they come to power, they are going to give us free SHS. They are going to make sure that our rejected graduates who are in the house are going to get work to do. But looking at what they've done, it's true that they have performed what they promised. That is why I organize my colleagues drivers. Have you seen what the government is doing? What we can do is to organize ourselves as one union, then campaign for the president so as to continue his good works.
The economic advisor and spokesperson to the vice president, Dr. Gideon Acquah, urged the drivers not to relent on their efforts, adding the crucial nature of the impending elections require all hands to be on deck.
Looking at what they have done, we are encouraging them, giving them moral support, giving them logistical support. Where we need to contribute to make them highly fluid to move, we will do so. We are in a process, or in a time that every single hand must be put on the deck to make sure that we get a resounding victory in 2020. And whoever is within the arena to help us achieve that victory, we are ready to help them. And the drivers are part of it.
At the launch of the association, speaker after speaker touted the achievements of the Nana Akufo-Addo government, including free SHS. Dr. Boakun called on Ghanaians to give the NPP another term to continue their unmatched achievements.
After 8 years of the NDC, if we ask the child on the street to mention anything that Mahama can be remembered with, it will be difficult for them to mention anything. Now, if we fast forward to President Akufo-Addo's era, at least Ghanaians can talk of free senior high school. We are building industries under the one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, and all of those fantastic acronyms of development projects. On top of it is the digitization. So it is quite clear that in terms of governance, in terms of development for the people, in terms of economic management, the NPP stands tall and is second to none. And that is why I believe that Ghanaians must continue to keep the NPP and President Akufo-Addo in power to continue to do more for the people. And that is why we christen it simply as for more to do more for you.
Dr. Gideon Acquah donated a Toyota pickup and 10 motorbikes to the Tano North constituency in the Hafo region to ensure effective day-to-day operations of the party's activities.
This is where I take ownership and I take pride in as a member of the New Patriotic Party, and therefore I felt I owe it a duty to contribute my widow's mite to make sure that the NPP maintains its stake in the Tano North constituency. We needed to support the constituency, to empower them and to make them well fortified for the battle ahead.
For Joy News, Precious Semevo, Gideon Acquah.
To another political party, the Progressive People's Party, and they've singled out indiscipline and lack of planning as the bane of Ghana's development. The party says until the two issues are fixed, the country will continue to lag behind. Kofi Assemoah, who has been elected as the party's presidential running mate for the December 7 general election, says, he said this after accepting the offer.
That the state is becoming incapable of managing its people in two ways. One, the state has lost control to deal with high levels of indiscipline in aspect of our lives. Corruption is number one. Two, the state has failed to plan ahead to provide the basic social economic infrastructure to support the nation's growth and development. The citizens have gone far ahead and the state is trying to catch up, yet they can't. Why should citizens go far and the state, rather than must lead, is behind? We need to check that. Open your eyes and you see all around us, they have failed. The specter of slum dwellings in the middle of the capital and other major cities with its concurrent high levels of homelessness, the exposure of significant numbers of our people to inhuman and insanitary conditions is a testimony of a dysfunctional system. If you see any market woman selling on the floor, it's a problem. It doesn't have to be that way. That is not a standard of progress and development. What is even more unpardonable is the lack of an agenda to change this situation, to redeem our fellow citizens from such uninhabitable conditions, or reduce the growth in slum dwellings and the number of homeless citizens. You would think that homelessness is a specter which has to change, but I realize that it's not reducing, it's rather increasing.
Now, former President John Mahama is accusing the NPP government of destroying jobs in the country. According to him, the banking sector cleanup, as well as the ban on small-scale mining, left thousands of people unemployed, resulting in extreme hardship. Speaking to the media, the former president also described as untrue government's claims it has created 1 million jobs.
He's not made any impact on providing the social and economic infrastructure that people need. And at the same time, he has killed more jobs than he has created. And where are the 1 million jobs? Show me, in which areas? Aside from the artificial jobs in NAPCO, and youth employment. Youth employment was there before they came. NAPCO is the only new initiatives they brought in job creation. And they themselves say they have 80,000 people. So which other jobs have been created? Companies have collapsed and are collapsing, you know, as a result of the financial closure. More than 10,000 people have lost their jobs because those banks and small saving and loans companies were shut down. The construction industry is growing at negative. The construction industry is a huge employer of artisans, masons, excavator operators, bulldozer operators, carpenters, and so on and so forth. Most of the contractors are sitting at home. Their equipment are packed. What jobs has he created? Show me in which sector he has created jobs. But this government has destroyed more jobs than it has created. That is a fact. And so they keep touting, we've created 1 million jobs. Where are the 1 million jobs? They can't be found anywhere.
And of course, this is the station for the latest in all election coverage. Let's look at some other subjects now. And former Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame, also spent lots of time in the years 2018 and 2019 explaining financial misappropriations against him. In 2018, he was accused of spending over 10,000 cedis on food for 8 persons at a single meeting. A memo on the expenditure circulated on social media at that time. But a statement by the GMA explained the amount quoted was the cost of food for 3 different meetings and for 40 persons. Then in 2019, Mr. Owusu was again accused of renovating his residence building at 1 million cedis and also spending 23,910 cedis on fixing 13 air conditioners there. The former Director General came under intense media scrutiny when documents of the renovation leaked. He resigned from his position in February 2019, but in July 2019, he was appointed as the board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority, a position he turned down. Today, he's been explaining why he took such a decision.
Then we heard you were going to be board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Did you ever step there?
No.
What happened?
Well, I think that you started making noise. I was asked by the president to leave Ghana Maritime Authority, so I resigned. I attended the resignation.
Did he give you reasons?
Yes, so that I could be appointed to go and chair the Revenue Authority.
So contrary to public opinion, you were not sacked from Ghana Maritime?
Absolutely not. If people are sacked for what they have done wrong, the president is very principled. He will come out and say the person should be prosecuted, this and that. He gave me a further appointment. How can I be sacked in the midst of your talk? And the man who does appoint me again, it's not by default, because he knows who and what I am, and he knows my capabilities.
Okay, so he didn't push you to resign because of all the commentary at the time?
But I have just told you that if he wants me to resign, he won't do even immediate appointment. He will tell you, go and hide for a year or 2 before he comes. He immediately did the appointment.
So he was clearly
he was clear, he never
clearly
said,
happy with you.
But you can make the judgment. I don't have to. It is not about whether happy or not happy.
I'm wondering why that appointment couldn't hold then as board chair of the GRA.
Well, when you started making noise, like any other, some people started, but the president was never panicked.
CSOs, there was a number of CSOs, anti-corruption organizations that petitioned.
Yes, I don't know where they petitioned to. They did all the petition at the Council of State. It didn't work because there is no element of all the things I've told you. They are common sense people. But when you talk about the anti-corruption, I remember in the after the appointment, I remember the yellow boy. What do you call
yellow boy?
Yeah, Franklin Kujo.
Why do you call him the yellow boy?
That's how I call him. That's how I know him to be. He comes to my restaurant, I see, I said, that's the yellow boy. Now, when he makes a comments for somebody appointed to jail, I say, oh, he's going to go have a lot of air conditioning. See, a lot of people you listen to, you call them anti-corruption. This guy, he's a land economy. He wanted to do land economy in tech. They finish, they never work in their life to impact on people, but they become policymakers because some of these organizations, that's how they live. And some of them you go to see even how they live, you begin to wonder, if they don't have a paycheck, how do you live like this? But that is not what I am trying to see. They seem to know everything. And they will say, oh, Kwame also did that, Kwame also did that. And I challenge him the last. I want him to come and see what he has done. See, people even take a job that they can do. When we are going to appoint people to go and stabilize the Ghana cedi currency, and they invite him, oh, he's gallery to put his name there. You're a land economy. Neither have you had a business. We do export. When dollar comes in, 2.5% goes to the bank. He doesn't even have a pain to see what people do. So there is no, you say, oh, I am sorry. I want to stay anti. But he will join. People, you are double standard. I had so much of you talking, including them, if you do. So on September 18, 2019, I wrote to the president.
Live on JoyNews today, business is next. And government has exceeded its treasury bill sale target for the third week running, showing some investor interest in the economy. Daryl Kwao has those details right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Government exceeded its treasury bill sale target for the third week running, showing some investor interest in the economy. The Bank of Ghana sold bids worth 793.9 million cedis of short-term securities, including the one-year note on behalf of government. Charles Nixon-Yabua has more on the trading results.
The target for this auctioning was 733 million cedis, meaning the government exceeded its target by 60.9 million cedis. This is compared to the previous week's 876 million cedis target, which government surpassed by 43 million cedis. From the trading figures, the interest charge on the government instruments appears to have remained steady or coming down, albeit marginally. For instance, yield on the 91-day treasury bill remained unchanged, but the interest on the 6-month bill fell by 0.03%. In the month of August, investors were demanding more yield when they were actually moving into other risk-free instruments that were giving them higher interest than the government treasuries. Indeed, data had indicated that the government treasury securities were priced at a rate of about 13.97% in the larger part of the second quarter of this year. Last month, Monetary Policy Committee report stated that interest rates on the money market saw mixed developments as rates on short to medium-term instruments eased, but generally tightened at the longer end in August this year.
Now, the second mini clinic of the JoyNews EcoBank Habitat Fair has seen patrons informed and educated on all the secrets of home acquisition and financing there are to know. Exhibitors also offered unbelievable discounts. Charles Aite was at the West Hills Mall over the weekend.
It's very interesting, the new innovations that they also have for customers in the wake of COVID-19. This is where you wash your hand, and they say this is part of the strategies to attract customers. Let's move on to Superlock Technologies. They're also going to be helping us with the products that they have. They specialize in doors. How has the entire exhibition been so far?
It has been awesome. It has helped us a lot. We've gotten a lot of clients who have shown interest in our product, so it has been awesome.
How affordable are your products?
I wouldn't say they are affordable. They are quality.
They are quality?
Yes.
I see this door here. Is it made from like natural wood or something?
No, it's not wood. It's galvanized steel.
Galvanized steel?
Yes. Okay. That has been covered with PVC finishing.
Okay. One interesting stand is that of the Planned City Extension, where we are learning about the rent-to-own strategy if you want to acquire a home for yourself. You could see patrons already being attended to, giving information on what exactly they need to be a part of this entire project. I just want to interrupt shortly. You're welcome to JoyNews. How has the entire scene been like for you so far?
Yeah, it was great, and we are having customers come in. Potential customers come in, and then they are showing interest. So this is a good opportunity for everyone to have the opportunity to get their own house over a period of time we say that if you register with us, you make a payment of 499 Ghana cedis. That means
499 cedis.
Yes, please. Okay. And then you make an initial deposit of 3,000. And then we have a threshold up to 25 years. If you choose the site that we are going to build for you, you choose the type of property that you want, then we start building for you. But then, because the building has to take some time, we say that if you make 20% of the total cost of the property that you've chosen, then of course we would give you the keys to the house. Then you come inside and then continue making the payments in bits until you have exhausted your what? Exactly.
So these gentlemen on the seat here are your patrons. They are looking through the stuff. Gentlemen, sorry to interrupt shortly, but how convinced are you so far? Based on what she's telling you.
How
convinced are you?
So far, she's now trying to explain things to us. But I think it's a good initiative, and I hope it runs for a very long time.
That's all in business. There's more to come at the top of the hour. Up next is sports. We have news on Thomas Partey, who made his debut with Arsenal. Will have the details right after this break.